For the first time, I have heard about Warcraft universe when I was just 12 years old. At that point, Warcraft 3 has been considered a pretty old game, and everyone was playing the new popular MMORPG World of Warcraft. Since early childhood, I was fascinated by everything related to medieval times and fantasy. Knights, dragons, mythical creatures have always been very interesting for me. That is why I of course has become interested in WoW and wanted to try to play the game myself. However, my interest to play World of Warcraft has been stopped by the price of the game itself, as well as monthly subscription, which used to cost €12 per month. It was not by any means possible for a 12-year-old boy to pay €12 per month for a game, and there was no chance that I could have convinced my parents to do so. Back in the day, my parents had pretty negative attitude towards the video games, and I have been pretty limited in time which I was allowed to spend playing games every week. And as you might guess, they most probably wouldn't allow me to pay such significant money for the game, so I didn't even ask them to do so. So I continued to play other games such as Dota 2 and Counter-Strike, as well as other popular games. But let me tell you, for about 4 years I had World of Warcraft somewhere in the back of my mind and was ready to give it a try at the first opportunity. Before I actually started playing World of Warcraft itself, I began with another free game by Blizzard, which was Hearthstone. Back when I started playing the game, it was called Hearthstone Heroes of Warcraft. Therefore, pretty much all of the characters in Hearthstone have been from the World of Warcraft, so I was able to get to know a little bit more about Warcraft lore before I even started playing by googling the characters depicted on Hearthstone cards, such as Jaina Proudmoore, Garrosh, Sylvana and others. It's crazy to realize that I started playing Hearthstone more than 9 years ago. Now I do not know anything about the game, but back in time it was awesome, it was free, involved elements of real random and fun. Everyone had chance to achieve the legendary rank without actually donating huge amount of money, and that was really awesome. I spent years playing this game. It was available for the PC and in mobile format, so I didn't miss the opportunity to play it in school with my friends. Hearthstone is also the game due to which I started watching Twitch streams. I still remember how I was running home back from school to eat dinner and watch some Hearthstone streams by MS and other streamers. It was a wonderful time, without stress, headaches and real-life problems. Finally, when I was 16 years old, I decided to try out World of Warcraft, since finally I had an opportunity to pay for the subscription with my own money. I was surprised that I was able to level up to level 20 for free, which I have done with some struggles on my old laptop. My very first character has been a mage gnome. However, this character didn't last long enough, since I got stuck in the roof of some building and didn't know that teleportation Hearthstone existed in game. So we deleted the character and started with the new one, which was a night elf druid. I knew absolutely nothing about the game, and I clearly remember this fascinating feeling of opening the world map and seeing myself in this tiny starting zone of Teldrassil, which at the time felt like a huge one. Then I zoomed out and saw the entire island of Teldrassil. Then I zoomed out again and saw Kalimdor once again, and I saw the whole Azeroth. I was fascinated, and of course I immediately fell in love with the game. I remember playing together with a friend of mine when he visited me. We were trying to get from the Teldrassil to the Kalimdor continent. I didn't know that the boats existed, so we desperately tried to swim from there, which of course ended in failure. We spent a few hours swimming between Teldrassil and Darkshore, constantly dying, until one of us decided to Google how to actually get there. It was during the summer of 2016, before the WoW Legion expansion launched. After trying to level up a few characters, elves, humans and others, I decided that it's finally time to buy the expansion and play the latest version of the game. By the way, during that time one of my childhood friends also became interested in WoW, so we bought the expansion together at about Christmas time to enter the new world. It was amazing experience. Besides Warcraft, it was awesome since it actually was a Christmas time. I bought the expansion myself and was free from school for a few weeks, so I was able to dive into the Warcraft universe. I created a new character, Paladin Drenai, whom I called Ilusi, and pressed play. Me and my friends started exploring the Dalaran and other zones of the Broken Isles. The greatest thing was that the world was full of real players who have been flying in the zones, communicating and even doing some quests together. I leveled up through the campaign and started going into dungeons and raids with the help of Raid Finder. It was absolutely awesome to see the Paladin class hall, which was the huge Paladin temple located under the Light's Hope Chapel in Eastern Plaguelands. It was full of NPCs which have been telling the stories of their glory days. By the way, Eastern Plaguelands, where the Paladin class hall is located, became one of my favorite zones while I was leveling up previously, and later I spent hours flying about it, just enjoying the overall vibe and music of the place. After a few months of playing, while completing one of the dungeons, I asked a question in the dungeon group chat, and some guy who was playing Demon Hunter answered to all of my questions in detail and asked if I want to add him in Discord in order to play together. Despite being a little bit suspicious, since prior to that I didn't have an experience of talking with strangers online, I decided to give it a try. That is how I met my first ever long-term online friend. He was playing WoW for 5 or even more years at that point, and together with other friends of his, explained me all of the important details of WoW. They helped me to gear up my character. Despite the fact that they have been way higher level in terms of the game knowledge and skill, they still found time to help me. It was absolutely amazing to have online friends, to sit with them in Discord for hours to speak about WoW and life at night while grinding the dungeons. Those have been very special times for me. Later, when I geared up, I started looking for a guild and found one. That was the time when I discovered raiding and of course the shadows for the raiding, and that is when the game started to become something more than just a game for me. I have been raiding 3 times a week with my guild, and we actually had some significant progress. We of course haven't been some top players, however we managed to kill all of the heroic and some of the mythic bosses during the expansion, which was a great success for us. It was a tough challenge, since I still remember how we have been killing the heroic Galdon boss during the night for hours and hours. During the Legion expansion, I also was able to unlock all of the Paladin artifact weapons, among which have been the secret one, the Corrupted Remembrance. I sat for hours there, fishing for the items and finding the randomly appearing NPCs which dropped the needed items. And let me tell you, I was very proud of myself when I finally got this skin. That is how few years have passed. At that point, WoW has become a very important part of my life, since I have been spending pretty much all of my available free time playing the game. When during the summer I had to leave my PC in order to get away from the city for holidays or to visit Granddad for a couple of weeks, it was pretty hard, since I knew that my friends are there, raiding and having fun. Now I understand that it was pretty foolish of me. However, back in the day, WoW really played an important role in my life. However, the end of the school has been approaching, and let me tell you, I always wanted to go to the university. So despite playing World of Warcraft a lot, I didn't forget to study hard and started to realize that unfortunately the life is changing, and I'm approaching the next stage of my life, in which I will have less time to play my favorite game. That of course was making me sad, but I decided that I will still try my best to find some time to actually enjoy the game. And I did. I was studying at university, actually found a girlfriend, but still was finding time to play the game. It was the time when vanilla version has been released, and there have been lots of things to discover, so I was happily spending my free time exploring the new worlds and raiding with my guild. However, I started to notice something which was very disturbing to me. While raiding, we all have been communicated in our Discord voice chat, and it was hard for me not to notice that some of the people have been behaving strange, let's say. Some of them have been obviously drunk, some have been always blaming their wives or women in general for all of the problems in their lives. But one case which I remember very clearly is when one of the ladies during the raid said that she was sitting here and drinking beer all day and playing WoW while waiting for her husband to come work from home, which to me was strange but kinda not my business. But then I realized that she had a kid who was sometimes approaching her during the raid and asking to to spend some time with him, which we all heard in the Discord voice chat. Instead of leaving and taking care of the kid, she was answering to him that she is actually busy and he must behave and find something to do on his own. At this point we have been raiding for about 5 hours straight. I suppose that prior to that this behavior also continued for some times, I just didn't hear it or about it. And I of course didn't tell anything to her, but in my head I realized that there is something wrong about that. Then I started to notice more and more that there are lots of YouTube videos and Reddit posts of people telling how their lives literally fell apart due to them playing too much World of Warcraft, how they have been skipping school or how their relationships broke because of the game addiction. And that was the point when I realized that the better I play, the better guilds I get in, the more game addicted persons I will actually see. However, despite understanding that, I didn't thought about it for too long of a time and continued playing the game in my free time. I leveled in Classic WoW, I was raiding with the friends and life was good. But something started to change. All of the people whom I was playing with started to become very sad, saying that the game is dying and that it's not as good as it used to be, yet still continued to play it for hours and hours. Every new aspect of the game which Blizzard introduced have been faced by lots of negative on social media, as well as by the guys with whom I have been playing, so the game started to become pretty toxic in this regard. And another thing was that pretty much all of the people with whom I was playing started to take the game too seriously. They have been angry at one another, as well as myself when somebody have made a mistake in dungeon, which actually led to arguments and constant small level of stress and toxicity while raiding or actually just playing the game. Then later, when I was playing with the group of online friends and we have been talking in Discord, I heard that one of them has also been approached by his kid, who asked him to spend the time with him before he could go to bed. To which the guy answered something like, "Get out of the way, don't you see, I am playing the game." And that was the moment when I started feeling bad, very bad, for this child and actually for myself, that I am on daily and weekly basis I'm communicating with people whose lives are not looking great at all. They are toxic, they hate the game that they spend their life in, they are not great parents to their kids, and the biggest success in their life is that they killed the mythic boss despite being in their 30s. That is when I approached one of my real life friends, whom I also was playing World of Warcraft with, and asked him what he thinks about that. He answered something like, "Whoa, do you think you will be any different when you will be their age?" And let me tell you, that stuck with me. I have been thinking about that for a few days, and I realized that the game, which has been an escape from some problems for people, became the only important thing for them in their lives. I am not going to judge those people, however I understood that I will feel miserable in case I will become such a person myself, and I am not willing to trade my life and my opportunities for an online game. So after about a week from the dialogue with my friend, I have quit the guild, cancelled my World of Warcraft subscription and deleted the game. It was about 4 years ago. Since that time I pretty much haven't been playing World of Warcraft. I tried to come back to the game casually to play on my own, but it doesn't feel the same. The world feels empty and the game process feels like the waste of time. I finished university and started my career and actually family, as well as began to take my YouTube hobby seriously. Everything is going great, which at least partly might have not been the case if I wouldn't quit WoW. I think that World of Warcraft is the great game, if not the best of its kind. It has changed a lot now and I do not know lots of things about it. I even forget the names of the people with whom I was playing. But the game will always have a very special place in my heart. Yet I would give an advice to any young folks there. Play the game, that is a great hobby. However, do remember that real life could be way more interesting and rewarding in case you will be spending the same amount of time grinding the real life achievements and becoming a better human. With this video I wanted to share a story of mine of how I played World of Warcraft and how it pretty much changed my perspective on video games and maybe even life. I would really appreciate if you can share your thoughts on my story or your World of Warcraft journey in the comments. As well as I welcome every one of you to join my Discord server, link is down in the description, to discuss any video of mine. Don't forget to press the like button, after all I spent 12 euro just to look into the game and film this, and thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you very soon in my next videos. Bye for now.